What sells well and what sells fast on Poshmark. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my numbers and my analytics so that way you can see what is the best way to determine what items you should be selling on Poshmark. Let's go. After many years of asking, Poshmark finally gave us analytics when it comes to our store. This was a massive game changer because the majority of the time we had to go to other platforms, purchase other services in order to figure out what was actually selling on Poshmark. I will say there are aspects to their analytics that I wish they would do a update to, especially now that Posh sales are a part of their platform, but the information they have given us has been very beneficial. Everything I'm about to show you, you can find on the app, but if you do like to do your Poshmark store on the laptop or computer, I will show you how to do it from here. You're gonna click up here, you're gonna go to the My Sales section, and here in the corner, you've got My Closet Insights, Posh Stats, Active Offers. There's a lot of stuff over here. So you can click on the Posh Stats, and this actually is going to show you, are you a Posh ambassador? Now you can click on the progress, you can see what that is in a link down below, but you want to click on the Posh Insight to show you the analytics. Now, again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, is this analytics only provides me with everything I've sold on the platform. So there is no separation for me at the moment between Posh shows and just my regular store. So this is a little skewed, I will say that. But at the top, it's going to show you how much money you've made. You have net earnings. You can even see how many listings have specifically sold, which again is a very skewed number based on me having to do manual bundling for a while on Poshmark for our Posh shows, which fortunately has now changed. Then you also have how many orders. This is nice because you can determine like, okay, what months dipped, what months increased, what did I maybe do during a specific day that helped sales increase that day. You've got your brands that sold the best, which actually I would say quite a few of these were items that sold in our store. So these brands are actually really good. So the biggest thing that I personally would like to say when it comes to what sells well and what sells fast on this platform is every location in the United States is going to have brands that are accessible to you that might not be accessible to me. And so you knowing your own data is going to be the best way to determine what sells well and what sells fast. I'm going to show you the brands that mine is showing, but you might not be able to pick up these brands. So that's just what I want to do as like a little asterisk on this video, is help you understand that I'm going to teach you how to read your numbers, but you need to take some risks. You need to have some failures. You need to have some successes. You need to be able to grow, to be able to get this information, to have a good narrative story that occurs with your analytics. So here is my brand insight. Todd Snyder, I will say I have never had a problem with this brand. It is a men's brand. It sells fast and it sells for a high amount. Doc Martens, always. I think since 2017, Doc Martens have always sold a great amount. Then I've played around with Girlfriend jeans. This one is actually one order. And I think if I remember correctly up at the top, yeah, so we're talking about current month right now. Let's go ahead and look at the whole year. Current year makes sense because this is the last day of the year. Okay, so Nike, not a surprise. Nike is our #1 seller. However, average sales price, see, Nike is suddenly gone. It's because Nike tends to sell for us, but not for a high amount. So just because one of your brands could be a high seller for you doesn't actually mean it sells fast and it sells for a high amount. So yeah, my listings sold, I've had close to 80 Nike pieces, 74 to be exact. If you hover over it, you get the exact number. Good to know. And then you can go back to sales and it's like, okay, well, Lululemon and Nike were the top sellers. Okay, but how many listings sold of that? That is going to help you determine what your average sales price is. So say, for example, let's say Eileen Fisher. Eileen Fisher always sells for you and it sells for $50 every single time. So you don't need to have as many in your store to get a large amount of money through it. You just need to have the brand on hand. Whereas like Nike is a very common buy for us because of where we're located in the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of Nike available, but it doesn't mean that it's always going to sell for a lot. So this is one of those brands that I like to call the bread and butter. It's the one that is going to help keep the lights on. It is the one that's going to help pay our bills. It is the one that I can consistently know that it is going to sell on a weekly basis. Is it going to sell for a lot? But that's where you're going to want to start asking yourself, how much do I have to pay for the cost of goods and how much is this item selling for? So those are two questions that you want to ask yourself when you are looking at the brand data. Let's go back to average sales price. So this is really interesting, and I would actually agree to this. Lafayette 148 is always a really good brand for us to pick up. The amount of items that we have sold of that one, let's see. Wow, that's really low. It doesn't even say. So again, this is where having like a third-party service would be really beneficial to determine some of this information, because I just asked that question. It's like they don't have how many items have sold in that. They say it's a high amount that has sold, but it doesn't exactly tell me how many. It just says how much money I made. Muck boots, if I remember correctly, that was one pair of boots. We had them new in the box. I had gotten them out of a pallet. So that's a good pickup. And that was all time from this year. That was one of our highest sells. Tibby, I remember this item was one item, sold for $114. So play around with wholesale and liquidation. And so because of that, I had access to brands that I didn't have access to before. I also got to take chances on some brands because it showed up in my palette. It's like, well, gotta sell it now. And then it's like, oh, wow, that brand actually sells for a lot. So it is a lot of trial and error. You just gotta play around with it. What are the favorite stores you like to go to? Or do you not have any thrift stores readily available to you? Do you need to go the wholesale route? Those are some things that you also need to think about if you are looking at going beyond just selling stuff in your closets or your family's closet. Down here, it does have average sales price based on like what category. So women's we sell primarily in. We started in kids, and you can see we still have we've got a fair amount of kids. And we also have in men's 11,000 that we've made this past year. But overall, the women's category was our highest category. It's the one that I've spent the most time doing my research on. It's the one that I've spent the most time doing a lot of trial and error in. And it's the one that's easiest for me to talk about because it's what I wear on a regular basis. You do have your order insight. Were they offers that came through? Did people just outright buy your item? Did they bundle? There's a lot of, or did they bundle and immediately pay? So most of the time when I get a bundle, someone sends me an offer after that, or I send them an offer. So this is a really cool graph to take a look at, because you can see 55% of my sales came from sending offers. So what that tells me is in order to make money on Poshmark, I can't sit around and wait for the people that are just going to outright buy it, because that's only 17% of my pie that I've seen this year. It's very important that I'm sending out offers on a regular, whether it's a weekly or if you want to do daily basis, you can do daily basis. I try to do about 10% anytime someone likes a new item on a daily basis, and then try to at least once a week do a 20% off discount, and then at least once a month do a 30% off discount. Now, when you are doing the offers, if you haven't seen my other video, I would recommend going through that, how to share and how to send offers. But you do have to send a shipping discount. So make sure you think about that when you are sending out offers, like what percentage you are sending out. This is a really cool summary. I really liked this. This is based on current month. Let's take a look at the whole year. So in the last year, we have published 6,306 new listings. This is, so you can see at the beginning of the year, and I do need to do a full video about this actually, 702, 633, 633. Now when live sales come into the picture, we were doing almost 1,000 or over 1,000 new listings every single month. And that definitely transpired in our sales. We definitely made a lot more money in the end of the year because of how many items we were listing. This does show that my available listing is 590 90, the total value in my store is 33,500. This is also a very skewed brand insight information because this is reviewing brands in your inventory. I have a listing in my store right now that's just kind of like this post to be notified when I go live, and I have it at 90,000. It's not a true number. It's just one of those place markers, which I wish Poshmark would allow us to create listings that give people information about our closet without it impacting our sales data right here or our brand data. Then you also have, again, the listing insight, which is skewed because it looks like I've got 90,000 in women's, or 114, but 90,000 of it is actually that one listing that I had. So this is where I would start when it comes to checking out your data. What is selling fast on here? There's a couple different services that you can look at about your Poshmark data. Some are manually, you have to input it in. Some just immediately pull the data from Poshmark. So I'll link those down below. There is an app, and I actually haven't used it in such a long time. I'd be curious to see if it's still a service that's available. If it is, I'll have my editor say right here, yes, it is still available. But it was a service that was a monthly subscription, and they automatically just pulled everything from your Poshmark store and gave you more data than this. Because the problem with the data here on Poshmark right now is once the year is over, some of this data that you're finding, or even once a month is over, some of this data you're finding, you're not going to be able to find again. A couple of the other services that come to mind are ones that use spreadsheets to be able to provide you with the data. And like I said, you do have to manually input every time you list an item and every time an item sells, which can be kind of a lot if you are selling a lot of stuff on a regular basis. But I will link those down below. We have a Sarah Styles spreadsheet as well as Reseller Genie. And those are pretty handy if you are going into different platforms. That is where the one app that I was telling you about that automatically pulls everything from Poshmark does not have over the manual spreadsheets is the ability to put all of your platforms into one area to collect proper data. Because it is different on each platform what brands sell well, what categories sell well, and what they're pricing at. Because I can have stuff on like Poshmark, for example, like Lululemon, certain styles might do better on Poshmark, but then there might be a completely different audience that is on eBay. And so certain things are going to sell better on different platforms. The other thing that I would have you consider when you are thinking about what sells well and sells fast is pay attention to the categories that you're seeing sell better. So for us, I believe it was about a year ago now, we took a look at what was our 5 top categories. And for us, shoes was one of them. Coats was one of them. So coats and like snow gear, jeans was one, and sweaters was one. And that again paid tribute to where we are located. It was easier for me to get my hands on better sweaters, better jackets, snow gear, and boots, or hiking boots or shoes, athletic shoes, versus dresses and other like fashionable things. We went more the practical route. And so when you can pay attention to what categories sell higher for you, it's also really easy for you to start making decisions when you're going into thrift stores on what area you're going to shop in first, or what areas you're going to completely ignore. For a while, I wasn't even touching t-shirts or like racerbacks because they just weren't high sellers for us. Now that we've been doing Posh shows, I kind of feel like all of that information has gone to the wayside because we can sell things fast. We don't have to have full listings per every item. I can just describe it when we're in the middle of a show. So it does differ depending on how you're selling and what you have access to on a regular basis. If you would like me to go into a video about different wholesalers and liquidators, I actually have quite a few videos on my YouTube channel already about unboxings of different companies. However, if you'd like me to go do kind of a refresher of that, leave it down in the comments below, and maybe we'll go into some of our tips and tricks on what we're looking for when we are doing wholesale and liquidation. And if you do have any questions about that, I would love to hear that down below as well. I will see you guys in my next video and next mini series. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so because you do not want to miss the next mini series we have coming up. Bye.